so now we're gonna make pasta salad. The nice thing about pasta salad is really we start with the base, which is obviously pasta, and the 2 cups of the cooked pasta. We're gonna make it in 2 different ways because we're gonna use each of our dressings that we did, the homemade ranch and the vinaigrette. And when you choose pastas, it really doesn't matter. You can use any shape. So in this case, I have shells for this one. Almost put 3 cups. And in this one, I had cooked up the spirals. And you can do colored spirals. You can even actually use just spaghetti and angel. What's that spaghetti called? The thin one?
Angel hair.
Angel hair. Thank you.
Controversial pasta.
Controversial. I didn't realize it was controversial.
In the food groups, there's debates a lot of times. Some people despise angel hair, and some people like me love it. And I don't know why it's so polarized, but it is.
All right.
Figure.
Yeah. Right. So we have one of each of those. A cup of cucumber diced. I'll put a little bit in. So that one got away. And then if you don't like cucumber, don't put cucumber in there. You can choose a different vegetable, or I left it out. I did a variety of different ones here so that we have some color. We have the carrots instead of the peas, so that we have some orange in it. And then we have onions, small onion, and so I had a larger one, so I divided up. And then we have the green pepper. In one case, I in fact chopped up from the orange and yellow ones. So one where I'm going to put the green pepper, and the other one I'm going to put the red, orange, yellow combination of sweet peppers. And let's see, that would be in a tomato. I left that out because I really don't like tomato all that much. So this could easily be my pasta, but I also chopped up some broccoli, which I really like broccoli, especially fresh broccoli. So instead of the tomato, I put the broccoli in instead of the one. So in this case, 1/4 of a cup of the Italian vinaigrette, or 1/2 a cup of the ranch. It's up to you and their preference. Since I have this one open, remember we made this homemade ranch a few minutes ago. At home, you really should keep it in the refrigerator until you're going to use it. Use this spoon to stir that one up. And here we go. So have a 1/2 a cup of the dressing. Now if you like your salad to be juicier, obviously you would put some more in and mix it up. And you have a ranch-based dressing for your pasta. If you wanted to add some cheese to it, some shredded cheese, that would be a nice addition as well. And again, once you start with a good solid recipe that gives you the proportions, you can learn to make it more personalized by adding in or taking out things you don't like and then swapping. But in this case, you don't need to change out your dressing unless you wanted to. If it were, you've gotten really good at dressings and you're going to make a French dressing, and you can use that instead if you like that. So our ranch dressing one is done. And then in the case of the Italian vinaigrette, you don't really need as much to get the flavor and the coating. But keep in mind when you're making pasta salad, realize the shape of the pasta also will determine how the ingredients sit inside of it. So in the case of my shells, they have the little holes, little gaps, so that things do settle in there. So it may not be as important to have a creamy thing, because you're going to end up with a big pocket when you're talking about a shell compared to having the spirals. Grab a spoon and then stir that up really well. The oil based will coat all of the pasta and not soak in, so that's why you don't need quite as much as if the cream one is going to sit on top and then soak in a little bit more. So now we have the two versions, and again, you can put cheese or any other items that you want to add in. If you want to make this an entire maybe lunch, you could put a protein, so you could add in chicken or tuna. This easily could be a tuna salad, a pasta tuna salad, and you can round out possibly an entire meal by having that. So, a little spillage there, Kevin.
Chef's treat, chef's treat.
A little crazy there. So that would be how you make very simple pasta salads using the vinaigrettes. And so for the ranch dressing, we have those. And we still have more left to use in other recipes. So we will set that aside. Our next item on our list of things to do is a tuna or chicken salad. Easily you could swap either one of these out. So if you didn't want to do tuna, you did chicken. That's not a problem. And you don't need to use canned chicken either. You can break down if you had a roast and you just have some extra chicken sitting around and you had leftovers, then you can turn that into the base for the chicken salad.
People forget how easy it is to poach like a chicken breast for just shredded chicken for stuff like this. Literally a pot of boiling water, and you drop a chicken breast in there, and like literally 7 minutes later it will be cooked. 10 minutes later it will be cooked all the way through.
Yes.
And ready to be pulled apart. You don't want to boil it. You don't want to do it for a long time because you dry it out even though it's in water.
Yeah.
So quick. It's supposed to be quick. People think it takes too long, but they're usually overcooking.
Right. Right. Poor little chicken. You know, that's a travesty what happens to that poor little chicken. People worry about not cooking it long enough when in fact most people they overcook it, and then they can't figure out why their chicken has no flavor.
People stop cooking a lot of things with that thought, just 5 more minutes, or I think the thermometer's right, but I'm just gonna leave it in a little bit longer to be sure.
Right, and using a thermometer and not just, okay, there's no more pink left, so it must be okay, when in fact using the thermometer.
You need a thermometer because cooked chicken can be very pink by the bone. Depends on how old the chicken is.
Right, or
So,
if it's been frozen.
I had somebody one time who was concerned about the pink by the bone, and I told them to grab their phone and Google chicken pink by bone, and the first thing that will come up is the USDA website where they'll say pink by the bone is okay in a young chicken. Use temperature. Don't look for the pink to go away, because if you do, it might be overcooking it by about 30 degrees.
Right, right.
Making it dry and making you think you don't know how to roast a chicken.
Exactly. So you get yourself a thermometer if you're really into and you want to become a foodie that enjoys the flavor of chicken.
Come to the Quick Market and ask me, and I will hand you a thermometer.
And ask
got a bucket
Kevin,
of them
and
for
Kevin
giveaway.
will hand you a thermometer.
True story.
He just offered that right up. But using a thermometer and getting to 165 degrees or 160, letting it rest
USDA wants 165. You just got to remember that things do carry over cook. So if you take it out at 165, it's going to 175. If you take it out at 160, you'll get between 165 and 170 where it's still cooked fully but not overcooked.
All right, Kevin, so we're gonna do a tuna salad. So in this case, we have 2 cans of tuna, a cup of celery, ranch dressing, grapes, and then to serve it on, instead of bread, we're gonna have our lettuce and tomato slices. And then, so the first thing you need to do is stir your tuna, celery, and ranch dressing together. So in this case, I opened up 2 cans of tuna. I already drained them. Make sure that you're cleaning your can lids off. Sanitize the entire thing, up, down, and around the entire can, so that you are getting any potential contamination off of it, because they have been sitting around at the store. And then we need a cup of celery. So I chopped up our celery here. We'll put in our celery. And then 1/4 of a cup of dressing. We're going to stir that up really well. Make sure to get your tuna coming apart in flakes so that it's evenly distributed. So we have a nice part there. Usually at home I also put carrots in because I like the crunch. And so now we're going to add the grapes. And depending on how big the grapes are, make sure that you're washing them before you use them. In this case, all I need to do is have them. But some of the grapes that I've seen can be pretty big. So you may want to make them even smaller, and you can slice them. You can slice them in half long ways or horizontally. It's all about your preference, but you're just going to put them in and lightly stir this up. And that's going to be the topping that goes on our lettuce and tomato slices. Another way. All right, and now after our tuna salad, if you like you don't necessarily have to use the ranch dressing. If you want to use the balsamic vinegar 1, then that could be a possibility, and vinaigrette. The 3-bean salad. The 3-bean salad is a really good recipe for using your green pepper up, but you can again add in different things. It doesn't have to be just on the same recipe, because I have it here. Learn to figure out what you like best and work from there. Your beans, I brought a variety of beans to show what you can choose from, because that, while I have 3 that I'm using in the recipe, doesn't mean that you have to use those same 3, because there may be beans that you prefer, and you can change it up. I've seen recipes for 3-bean salad, 7-bean salad, 5-bean salad. It all depends on the beans you have. So in this case, I brought with me cannelloni beans, which are large white beans, kind of tannish actually. And then I brought green beans. And you could easily make this with green beans that you get at the market. They don't have to be canned. Just so happened this recipe was about using canned products. And different green beans from different companies, they aren't necessarily going to look exactly the same coming out of the can.
Some people might prefer green beans chopped up raw since the other beans in the dish are cooked.
Oh, that's
Or if you don't like crunchy raw green beans, then canned is great.
Mm-hmm. So in this case, and then my final one was the garbanzo chickpeas. So this is just a matter of putting the 3 different types of beans together. I also brought the Great Northern bean, which is essentially a white kidney bean. I had said we have black beans and then light red kidney beans. Now be careful that as you're purchasing them at the store, in fact they were out of just plain kidney beans. So I had to settle for this one, but then when I looked at the label on it, it actually has corn syrup, salt, and some other things I'm not quite sure about.
Once they start seasoning them, then they start adding in all kinds of other stuff. And
exactly. So it's important that you're draining and rinsing them, because in rinsing them, you're going to reduce a lot of the sodium that they put into them in the canning process just for retention.
At the very least, taste the liquid that's in them and decide whether you like it or not, because a lot of times that liquid might not taste great and you'll want to rinse it off because you don't want it in your dish. Sometimes the liquid might taste delicious to you and you'll want to leave it in. But again, taste before you make
Calcium
these decisions.
chloride, I think I'll let that go. So
It keeps them firm after cooking.
So this color variety on this one is, because I didn't use the red kidney beans, it's a little bit on the monochromatic green and tan looking ones. So
I mean, actually, that's a good point. There's a lot of really interesting heirloom beans coming on the market. A lot of people know Rancho Gordo is a mail order source, but even local farms are getting into growing some of these really interesting heirloom varieties that have been forgotten. Mm-hmm. And they're typically, like heirloom tomatoes, very colorful and pretty and interesting flavors. So experiment away.
So because every summer I grow dried beans, and so I have done some dragon's tongue, I have done pinto.
There you go.
I have there was another horse variety one that's
First time I ever grew beans, I had a bag of
names.
beans that some sort of mites got into in my pantry, and I threw them in the compost. And the next spring they were growing, and I grew black beans out of the black beans I threw away. I left them.
Yep. So now you got you screened out the mite. And you've
let them regenerate.
It's all been reborn.
Remember, they're dried, but they're living food. If you plant a black bean, you'll get a black bean plant.
Right.
It's still living food, even though it's dormant, just like the other seeds you might plant in your garden in the spring.
Mm-hmm. Quite true. Quite true. So we have our 3 different beans in there, and then we needed to put in our green peppers. So we'll put some green peppers in, and then 2 teaspoons of sugar. And this is just to sweeten it up a little bit. If you don't feel you need to, then don't put the sugar in it, and you will be fine.
Taste it. If it doesn't seem like it needs to be sweet, don't. Don't just automatically add something like that unless you taste it and decide that you're sure it needs to be used.
Alright, so we're going to mix this up a little bit. Get that distributed, the sugar through there. And then 1/3 of a cup of vinaigrette. So just go ahead and use this one. Oh, time to make more vinaigrette. At least olive oil vinaigrette.
Right?
So now we figured out, thought, oh, I'm not going to have enough uses for this. When in fact, we've now used up our entire first batch. So now we have a bean salad, put it in the refrigerator to chill, so so that all the flavors will meld together. And serve after they've chilled. All right. The next one, I gotta get all this stuff. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Another classic ending.